Great at home this time again.
Yeah, I think we're all chilling at home. Got the coffee ready?
Yes, sir. Happy
All
Monday
right.
morning. Oh, there it
Hap-
is.
All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's go. Let's do this. All right. Monday morning, we're back. And this is episode 2. Pumped. I'm with the Michaels again. What is up? So good to see you guys.
Good morning.
I'm happy. My favorite topic.
Yes, subscriptions. I love it. Memberships. We're going in deep. I know we kind of joked about it last week on last week's episode with the whole apart hotels and COVIDpreneurs. We're like, oh, maybe after the episode, we're like, we should talk about subscriptions. And then it happened to be that week. We saw like 3 articles come out about subscription travel. So it made more and more sense as the week went on.
We can predict the future. So by the end of this topic today, we'll be able to know next week's headlines.
Come on, Mike. I did it 5 years ago already predicting this.
So this is so great. Yeah, if you guys tune in to Good Morning Hospitality, then we predict the future. So this is the only spot that you need for your hospitality news because we already predicted it. It happens. We call it. That's just how we do. You know, we're just a brand new show, but we're already killing it. I love it. Well, sweet guys, I think this is a great way just to have, I think Michael Ross, you're the man of subscriptions. You know, you were talking about this 5 years ago. This is something that's not new to you. So I would love if you would just want to take it away because we saw some articles in Skift and CNBC about, you know, travel and subscription-based memberships and how that's kind of helping throughout the pandemic and what we're seeing with the whole COVIDpreneur nomad lifestyle and now subscriptions being a common travel trend. So let's dive in. What are your thoughts? What's some info that you can shed on our audience today?
Well, when it started Vidroom, it's a bit more than 5 years ago. I think I just had a paid subscription of Spotify, maybe just then, right? It just started, and I always believed that transparency should come back in hospitality, and to do something similar than the other ones didn't make sense. And I really believe, okay, there will be a day, and 5 years ago it was quite early, that subscriptions, memberships will work also in the hotel bookings, right? And of course, you have differences between memberships and subscriptions. I think it's a bit different, and we'll discuss probably soon. But I know by creating loyalty, and I think it's really important if you want to interact with your users, maintain a long-time relationship, you can do it by having a membership. Airlines did it for years to create loyalty programs, which is a membership. Now you can see much more going from memberships into subscriptions. So when I said before we go into membership economy, you go even more to maybe subscription economy nowadays. But you can see it's a completely different way of having a relationship with your user. You can see if you're looking at any other booking platform or airline, airlines are good in maintaining a relationship. I think last time Michael said he's only flying Delta, right?
Absolutely.
Because he has a loyalty program, you feel loyal to the brand. But if you're just using transaction-focused websites, maybe it's an OTA or etc., it's more difficult to really build a relationship. And what we did actually is, okay, also, first of all, your approach, your cost of acquisition is already different. You're focusing on getting this user, visitor into become a member, ideally a lifetime member or as long as possible, and then maintain a relationship. So also your whole way of communicating with this user is different. 5 years ago, it was in travel. Everybody said, this guy is nuts. I said, okay, we're just going to do a Vidroom. Vidroom will be a membership. We're going to charge users in the future a subscription, and then in return, they can save on travel. I'm not sure if Amazon Prime was already there, which is now pretty common to pay a fee, and in return, you're saving on something. And now even you go reading subscriptions, the unlimited stays because of the pandemic. So I foresee, actually I saw that years ago, this could have potential. And if you see also what is happening now, more and more companies in this field are really considering to go to this field also to maintain actually a revenue. If you're focused on transactions and like we see now what happens with the pandemic. If you focus on transactions and there's almost non-transactions, there's no money coming in, which is also making your company really insecure. And you see companies who are doing really well as everything into, of course, SaaS models, into B2B doing extremely well in general. And now you can see this converting into consumer market and also make your company more valuable, but also because also it makes more valuable because actually you're more resistant to crises like this because you have your recurring income. So yeah. I love the topic, and I could talk maybe this whole episode, but let's on the micro.
I've got a few questions for you, Michael. What kind of demographics are buying subscriptions, and do demographics are they attracted to different types of subscriptions or perks?
Yeah. Good question, actually. We're testing a lot, and we're still testing on this a lot because there's a huge difference in Americans and Europeans, and within Europe, there's a massive difference between Italians and Dutch people and people from the UK. It's a massive difference. You see that Italians, they don't like to pay per year. They want to pay monthly. You can see Dutch people, it's really difficult to convert, but as soon as they convert into paid, they never go. They always stay forever. So the easiest to convert are the people from the UK, but also you have to make sure that you maintain a relationship, otherwise they leave. So you can see pretty big differences between countries, actually.
Are they business travelers? Are they young individuals that can live a digital nomad life? Like for me, a travel subscription would only make sense if my company's paying for it. Just because I am an American and we have 2 weeks vacation a year, right?
Yeah.
So
ideally as a consumer brand, right? So when we go to market, it's okay, it's a consumer brand, somebody want to travel. We also make sure that your fee is actually reasonable, right? We just say, okay, how much is the average shaving on every booking? And we saw it's like average shaving is around $34. So when you're charging $29 for a subscription, it makes sense. After one booking, you have your money back. So it made sense. And so if you go full 2 weeks, you even just save much more. So you see, and also if you make a second reservation, or you want to make a second booking or second stay, the first thing you think about is us as a subscription, or when you have a loyalty program. So you come back actually to when you have a relationship with. So it's also the first one you're thinking about, right? So this also helps us in recurring booking. So you can see the people when they starting a loyalty program, you said, okay, you're loyal to Delta. First thing you think about, okay, I have to go from place A to place B. Okay, check Delta. And this is also the same what happened in any membership or subscription. So this helps us a lot. We don't have to keep spending money for acquiring users because it's already a member from us.
And what I kind of see is like there's all sorts of different travelers. We have the corporate market, we have the leisure market. Yeah. Now we're seeing like that digital nomad life. And when Oasis came out with this, $1,500 to $2,000 a month subscription, to me, that's more like a corporate traveler who is kind of able to do meetings on Zoom and on the go and can do that nomad lifestyle corporate travel. But then somebody that, families that save up all year long to go to the ocean or to go to who knows where, maybe Six Flags or whatever, more like would be a bedroom type, traveler. Maybe they're not traveling enough to spend $1,500, but they can do the $29 a month and then use that for the perks of their family trip or other things like that. The ones that don't travel as often. Probably people.
You can see, of course, it's like families doesn't take an Oasis membership because it means they have to move all the time, right? You can see in our case, you can see digital nomads who wants to keep flexibility. So you can see if there's limitation of hotels, it's not always easy. You can see Citizen M, it's great what they did because they launched a subscription as well. But of course, it's limited to places of Citizen M. So in our case, we have a combination actually. So, okay, you can see there's digital nomads who just think, I want to keep the flexibility. You can book over 150,000 hotels. So I want to keep it flexible. And I might not always travel. I might travel 2 weeks per month and I still have my home place, etc. So this is also a big audience. And we see it shifting actually when people the first early adapters, they were the consumers who just want to test it and just liked it. Now you can see also it's moving. So you can see somebody makes a stay for a week in Greek, on a Greek island with his family. Then he see 2 nights, for example, in London in financial district. So it probably is alone, so probably his business. And then you can see, for example, weekend trip with his friends. So you can see people combining now actually and having a membership which can be used for everything basically. So it's also how you're positioning actually your membership, right? We've been keeping it pretty flexible. Of course, we see now business is minimal, right? You see now more the travel lovers, actually, if I can give it a name. More, these are the people who still making reservations and signing up. They want to travel. They need travel, right? It's like their biggest passion. And so these are still, if you see the growth now in the last 6 months, where the people are just subscribing, it's more this area. Before you saw a combination, and you can see also by combining subscription, this is also more and more common, right? You see people has a subscription of Lonely Planet, for example, and they're getting a bit of membership included. So those things is also what people see, can they combine membership? So this is also what I think will be next step. So maybe for next episode, like, can you see synergy, see cooperations, and people say, okay, I just purchased subscription A, and what are there other services included, right? You see maybe some corporate between Hulu and Disney and other ones. So I think this will be more and more common as well.
So citizenM came out with a subscription. It's 1,500 euros per month, and you get 30 nights a month. You have to stay a minimum of 7 nights per location. Does citizenM, are they a franchise, or are the properties all wholly owned by the company? Just wondering, like, how hard would this be for a Hilton or a Marriott or an IHG to roll out in a much bigger way and have much more product or inventory available?
I think, I'm not sure as well, maybe Wales knows, but I think they're owning the hotels, actually. If you're looking at the growth they have.
I think
if you own them and if they're franchised. That might be it. Maybe at some point you're buying 30,000 points per month, right? And those points fit into a system that already exists, a financial system, and then it translates into room nights or whatever based on location and financial district in London versus Panama City, Florida. It's going to be a difference of points, and those values already exist. That's interesting.
Yeah.
One of the things that I find super interesting on subscriptions are, I've always been remote. I've never had the benefits of the office perks, the foosball table and the beer on tap after 4 p.m. or whatever. This kind of thing, a travel subscription that the company pays for, because I'm traveling pre-COVID twice a month at least. And that's a perk or a benefit that I can use on my own for my personal travel. And that creates, a brand differentiation for recruiting new talent for us. What are y'all's thoughts on this as some type of travel-based subscription as a really big employee differentiator in the future, now that everybody's working from home?
Yeah, well, you can see it's getting a value, right? First of all, just to add to the previous point, of course, you just get something in return, saving on travel, etc. But also, of course, you have to add much more value to it, right? If you just I think that's super important just to add as any subscription you're taking or membership, if you know a loyalty program, you don't have something extra. That's for sure crucial. But if you're looking at the what you just mentioned, it is changing a lot, right? If you're just going to these employer benefits, you can see now we're just closing with a huge corporate, and it's okay. We just want to do all the bookings through Bidroom because I know at least on average you are 9 to 11% cheaper on the stays. He said, what more important as well is that beside this, it's also something nice that we can give to our employees. Okay, we just, first of all, for them it's a benefit because they're saving on company cost, but also in this case you're saving actually as an individual, if you go with your family. So it's also, you can see it's more. I think it's changing anyway, that the employer also want to take care of the employees, right? By paying for a gym, which is pretty common. So more and more you're taking care of your employees. And if you're taking care of their, for example, travel, that they can always have the best deal. You can see this is also, it's starting now actually. You want to create kind of also loyalty within your employees. Because at the end, they're just also want to keep them loyal, right? To keep them in your company. So it's not much different than another membership program with your employees. You want to keep them happy, loyal to you, create a relationship for long term.
Yeah. No, I think the same thing, because working in hotels and vacation rentals, I never actually got to travel as much. But if I was working for a company, yes, the office perks are great, but if the tables were turned and I was working remote all the time and never got to go use the office, happy hour or do these things, so something like Bidroom or getting a subscription for this or that would definitely, because it fits my lifestyle now. Well, it's like lifestyle wise, it's more beneficial for that. And so that's something I think a lot, like what I've seen a lot with like COVID since April and all these, past few months is that a lot of people are starting to realize the, I guess, perks that they thought mattered didn't really matter, because now they want to live life differently than they were, 8 months ago, 9 months ago. And so that's kind of like where I come from. Is like the subscription base would be more of a perk than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And
also within the subscription, I think the perk is super important, right? If you're subscribing, you go to a certain level, you want to make sure that you get something extra. If it's in a hotel, it's okay. You want to keep the flexibility. You want to get this, or if you late checkout, or like a welcomes drink, or early check-in when it's possible. You want to get something extra as well, because if you're a member of an hotel chain or a member of an airline or you're a member of Bidroom, you want to get something extra. Just you don't want to be treated as like a normal user, because you're different. You're a member. If you connected, you're paying to them or you're subscribing to them. If it's paid or not, I think you, Mike, you feel something. You're expecting something more from Delta because you're loyal to them for a long time. And if you're in the queue and there's one seat left, and there's actually two people, you would expect that they choose for you as a loyal customer, somebody makes a reservation. So this is, I think, also how to manage, in this case, long-term relationship. And that's in every subscription business, is the most important factor is the long-term value, right? How long is the customer staying with you? Because if you're subscribing after 1 year, you keep investing in acquiring users, doesn't make any sense. So you have to make sure that your churn is as small as possible. They're staying as long as possible, of course, because it's really difficult sometimes to convert them. And as soon as they convert and they're just loyal to you, of course, they're staying hopefully forever.
Yeah. It's value, and it's the perks and benefits are why people subscribe, and then it's the value and how you treat them once they're in. It's how you keep them long term. Like airlines, United and American, are notoriously not good at customer service. But I've got status with Delta. I call in, I jump the line, I ask questions, I get upgrades or flight changes and all that much easier than without status or without the perks of being a member. And when you travel a lot, those small little perks become big things. To your point, if there's 2 people left on the plane, I'm getting it and the other person isn't. That's a big perk. I don't have to wait 3 more hours for the next flight.
Yeah. It's the little details. We talk about this all the time in hospitality. Attention to detail, the little moments make the big moments for the traveler. Whenever you're taking care of guests in a vacation rental or a hotel, you want to pay attention to these little things because it makes a difference. Yeah, the big things are great, but if the little things are missed, then I think we miss the big picture as a whole. But I wanted to ask you guys, because this kind of brings up another thing that we talked about last week, is we talked about big brands, like Marriott, Hilton, IHG, how the brand is consistent. When you stay at a Courtyard in Seattle, you're going to get the same feel when you stay at a Courtyard in DC or Florida or wherever. So is this a consistent model that is able to be scaled in that sense of you, like with membership, when it comes to different perks and brands bringing this on? Because we've seen Sonder try it. We're seeing, Oasis, and now these other brands that have kind of been dipping their toes in it.
Yeah, I think IAG is something, right? They have something that you just pay an annual fee and get some extra perks now.
Sorry?
I think IAG is launched something, so you're just paying an annual fee. It is, I think, $200 or so, and then you get some extra advantages. And I think actually, if hotel chains are really clever and smart, they should push this more, because especially when you're a paid member, and I think there's a big difference if you're paid, if you have a subscription or just a membership, free membership. As soon you're paying for something, you're going to use it, and that's, I think, a huge difference. So as soon hotel chains are able maybe for a couple $100, in this case, you get something extra. You get always 10% discount. You always get etc. extras. The first thing you really think about is go to this hotel chain, because you're paying to them. You pay for them an annual fee. So this is the first one you consider if you want to make a reservation somewhere. Free loyalty programs, you probably have in 5-6 different kind of hotel chains. So you just not really loyal to one, because you just have memberships anywhere. So as soon as you have a subscription, I think there's a big difference between subscription and a membership. As soon as you're really paying for something, you directly have a complete different relationship.
Yeah, and some of the perks you can get through different credit card promotions, right? Or loyalty, obviously. But what Michael's absolutely right is if you're a member of a customer base, I'm not going to Google and looking at flights. I'm going to Delta and I'm looking at flights. Going direct, you're figuring out, well, I'm not, unless this flight is twice as much as any other flight, then I'm booking with Delta. Now, another interesting point, like I'm curious to get y'all's thoughts on the downstream effects of subscription-based when with Bidroom, with potentially flights, with potentially Marriott or IHG doing something. I see the biggest direct impact is likely to be on the OTAs, right? The bookings are no longer flowing through them, and it might be a small amount to begin with, but if we're looking 10 years in the future and subscription-based travel is norm, like that could be a challenge that the OTAs have to figure out and overcome.
Yeah. I think because when I was doing my revenue management, position at a hotel and then also going through school, we talked about how, when you have revenue management, you do nightly rates because there's more potential to increase revenues by adjusting often and frequently. Like we all know this is the more you adjust your rates, the better pickup you'll see with other things. Like you can kind of play the game in a sense when it comes to revenue management. Subscription based, I see, it's maxed out at this certain tier, right? Like let's say you get the top tier and it's $2,500 a month. Cool. Well, that's $2,500 a month you're getting from that one traveler. And so I think for long term, I will see this pick up. Like in my opinion, I see this definitely continuing and becoming a very more common travel trend. But I think especially with the boutique, like independent hotels that don't have a flag, that don't have, Marriott, Loyalty, Bonvoy, any of those, we'll see those continue to stay. And unless, they start pivoting themselves and creating their own subscriptions and joining Bidroom and doing other things like that. But, I feel like there's still that one little segment, right? That one little mom and pop side of things that just can't keep up with the big name brands.
In the subscription for everybody, like you have to travel some for it to make sense. If you travel once a year, it probably doesn't make sense to have a travel subscription. And a large part of the market only travels once or twice a year. But for those business travelers, if you can buy their loyalty at even a discount, right? If I'm not loyal to any hotel brand, I book whichever one's closest to whatever I'm doing in that city. I'm a location booker, not a brand booker. But someone could buy my loyalty if it's going to provide a discount for me during my travels. But it doesn't make sense for the average person that takes one family beach trip per year to subscribe annually or monthly to something. So travel is the world's biggest revenue generator, right? Or at least was COVID.
Yeah.
And so without, there's plenty of money to go around, I think.
I'm curious, Will, because you did revenue management, right? So, but even hotel is like occupied 80%, right? And normally your rate is around $80. As a hotel, you say I can fill maybe the other 10 or 20%. I can fill with maybe nights I gave away for €50 to a subscription service. So they're buying from you for €50 per night. So they're able to sell it for $1,500. Would you do it as a revenue manager?
Yeah, as a revenue manager, because when it comes to like revenue management, you're not just like, I see it as you have to weigh out your inventory and your occupancy and like all the different channels, because you can't just like, okay, I see I have 10 rooms left for this month and blah blah blah. Like you have to delegate. Okay, what channels are picking up? Where are we seeing pace from? What is like you dig into the stats that you already have, and then once you do that, then it's like, okay, would I lose money by allowing the subscription, or would I gain? And it's like kind of it's a game of poker at the end of the day. You're playing cards that you know your hand, you see your comp set, you see this, and then it's just adjusting. But at the end of the day, I think for this current times that we're in, yeah, revenue managers should be taking in the subscription base because, like we were reading in that article with the CNBC, hotels, even if they're doing subscription, they're not like, maybe not the guests aren't traveling for overnight. They're just doing it for like using a studio or an office space, or doing it to have meetings, and or maybe even rent out, like we just had on the podcast last week, a hotel that was allowing dayuse.com to rent out whole floors for employees to come and use rooms as their own offices and other things, but then not stay overnight. And so they're able to then flip the room again. So there's all these certain things that can go into it. And I think we'll see a little bit more of like I said, it's just like a big poker game when it comes.
I'm really curious as well to the extra expenses, right? If you're if you're just a nomad and you're sitting a whole day in your room, I guess you have to eat, right? You have to drink something. So I'm really curious how much, if somebody just using your room to work from, or as a nomad, and you're just staying really in the hotel whole day, I guess they're spending much more as well than when it's a weekend travel or like a city trip and just go out to the city whole day. So I'm really curious. Maybe your rate is lower, but maybe you're generating much more income for your property because they just staying because they're working and they don't want to leave the work spot, and they're just ordering room service, right? So I'm pretty curious how much is the extra spend actually if somebody paid less but actually stayed in your place whole day to work from there, because it could maybe compensate the lower rate.
I stayed in one recently in Austin that was renting out. So I spent the night, but they were renting out rooms for corporate use, whether it was an individual or a company. And they had like a food package. So you'd have coffee delivered twice a day to your room. You'd have lunch brought to your room, and it was $25 extra a day. So like it is incremental revenue. And there are ways once they're on your property to continue to capitalize them. I know some of the resort developers, like if it's a $200 per night room, they're expecting that guest to spend 50% to 100% of the room cost in on-site amenities or services, spa, golf, whatever. So every dollar that they get booked is $2 to the property, essentially.
I think in Vegas is even much more, I guess, right? They just do everything to get people in the casinos there and spending much more.
No, that's what we saw with this hotel in Chicago. They said they never used dayuse.com or any like these, allowed this like opportunity for guests to use a room for a meeting or to work in all day or whatever. But then they did see that they're at the hotel. They got them in the door with an attractive rate. And then it turns into, well, I'm hungry. Shoot. Okay, there's a bar right downstairs. I don't have to leave my desk or my computer. Great. They get there. They spend money at the bar. They walk by the coffee shop. Oh, I should have another coffee before I go up to my meeting. Another coffee. Then their day use is done. Well, the wife and kids are, they're out at the park, and I want them, to continue to have fun. So I'm actually going to stay the night. I'm going to get a little bit more work done. I'm going to relax. They're going to have their separate time. I have my separate time. Great. That turned into a nightly rate. Now they don't have to clean. They got extra money out of the room, plus food and beverage, and all these other things. So yeah, you guys are 100% like, that's exactly from what I've heard from other people that they're seeing, getting them in the door and then allowing that to turn into residual revenue in other departments.
So we have a question from Jerome.
Yes.
Personalization is an interesting opportunity to increase loyalty. For this to work, you need to know your customers really, really well. Is this a trend? I think for the really, really good loyalty programs, it is already. My dad was a super loyal Marriott traveler. And whenever he checked in, they knew that he wanted the room at the top corner of the property with extra pillows, a bottle of water on the bed. And it happened every single time he checked in. Like they're really, really good at that. Delta knows anytime I travel, I want an aisle seat as far up in the plane as possible. I don't want to be upgraded unless it's an aisle seat. And like they've gotten better at this through the years. I think you have to be good at gathering and managing data to be able to do this well. And it certainly benefits the big companies from a data standpoint, but the small companies that have the repeat guests, let's say a boutique hotel, every month some executive comes and stays at this boutique hotel, that's an opportunity to have a super personalized, not just digitally personalized, but a person way, hello, Mr. Slickers, nice to see you again. I know you like a can of Coke when you arrive. It's in your room. It's already chilled. Those kinds of things blow you away.
But this is still missing also in looking at OTAs, right? If it doesn't matter if I search, okay, I just blocking booking.com, but even I want to search to find a place and then book on Bidroom. If you're searching it there, even or in Airbnb or somewhere else, it's still, you get the full inventory, you get 1,200 properties in Rome. And if you're booking somewhere for multiple times, they should understand you. They should just understand that I'm looking those kind of properties. I always book. Is it, for example, I always book for 4-star hotel, for example, when it's in the city center, in the cities. At the end, they should build more like a profile around you, right? And this is still, we're working on this now, but it isn't easy. But if you're expecting of an $80 billion a company, they should be able to build something. But you see, there's some players around there. You see like a Trip Boutique, for example, which is a company from Switzerland. They're really now into also how can we more make it personalized. So you just do request for a city. And what they will do, they will send you actually like a complete itinerary for your whole journey because they want to know who you are. So you have to answer 20 questions before. And I think this is the future, to be honest. And this is also what we plan now. How can you really understand? And it's more easy when you have a member base, right? When you understand, okay, this guest for the last 10 times you book those kind of properties. Indeed, we just said, okay, specific room or specific kind of property. He always stay in boutique hotels, so why I should offer him a big business hotel in the outskirts, hyper modern, if he never stays in a property like this? So because at the end, every platform wants to convert, right? So the more personalized you're making it based on his wishes and his expectations and history, it will increase conversion drastically. So you said the chains are able, the big chains should be able. Not all of them do a good job so far. Some of them they're learning and they're working on it. But there's a huge potential to really create loyalty, because loyalty is so important. Because if they keep investing in your customer all the time to get him back, it costs you much more money than you say, I built something to really create loyalty. It's much cheaper to give this guest a bottle of wine and what he wants than to acquire new members, which are much more cost effective. So, yes, I agree with our frequent listener, Jeroen, that hyper-personalization is really important.
Yeah, and I think you both kind of hit the balance on two things, is that it's a collection of data through memberships, right? We have a graph, we have a visual that we can see what these members are doing with their subscription and what they're looking for and how they're using it, etc. But then, like you said, that independent boutique, like when I was a manager at the 70-unit all-suite property in Seaside, that's what I relied on my staff for. Like they were, there, 5 days a week, if not more, and they're, pulling extra shifts, and they're a team, and they're seeing these guests that are repeat consistently. They're seeing Mr. Golden and Mr. Ross, and they're understanding that, okay, as these people get there, they know what they're here for, what Amex or what Visa they want to use at check-in, and their vehicle's license, and all the other stuff that kind of goes into the personalization. And so it's a reliance of, I think, data and humans, staff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it is human, right? You can see this revolve when in a membership. In the membership, you really can see, like, okay, somebody becomes a member, and we talk about loyalty. With loyalty, you're not even there yet. It's really important to keep them loyal, but you can see if they become more like a referral, and they just really gonna just talk about you. What you can see the next time when I just want to book an airline, I would just go to Delta because Michael's so positive. And this is actually so important. And you can see the same with Netflix, why they're so important, why they're growing so big. They're not advertising so much. What everybody's talking about the series, how it works, what they're launching, new episodes. And this is in every subscription model. You have to make sure that people become ambassadors. And I think that is really important, that you turn members into ambassadors, because as soon as you reach this moment, then you can become successful. And if you just have to acquire members and they not engage and then not become ambassador, then you have a difficult job to do.
Yeah, and traveling, I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to get back to regular travel. But it's still a pain. Traveling is not like it is a grueling gauntlet for those folks who spend half of their life on the road, and it's all those little things that add up that make it so much better. If I know exactly how many minutes I need to arrive before my flight takes off, or that the Sky Lounge in Amsterdam is amazing, and I want to make sure I get breakfasts there. Like there's all these little hacks that people who travel a lot can use. And someone who travels like me, when my wife travels with me, she's like, all this is really cool. It's so neat that you know how to do this and this and this. And most people don't understand the process or how to expedite, cut 5 minutes out here and there, jump the line in this place or that place. And these subscriptions and memberships are a very good way of doing that. And that's how you buy the loyalty.
Agreed. Well, I think that's a great note to end it on. I just have one question for you guys, just kind of for some Monday morning BS. What's coming up this week? Anything exciting other than, getting ready for next week's show?
Yeah, every week is fun, right? Every week you're learning, improving stuff, and it's fun. And it's weird. Like with the team, we have Wednesday a monthly update. We have some new guys. Some of them we never saw. You're gonna do it on Zoom. We're gonna do a Halloween theme, by the way. So everybody will dress pretty scary. And this is the thing which you should still do, right? Just try to still do, because this is also loyalty, right? With your employees, try to still engage with them when it's possible, because it is not easy for everybody just to still stay positive. So I think create loyalty also with your friends, give them a call with your employees. I think that's super important those days. So that's my message for today, and looking forward to next week.
Yeah, and NoiseAware's got a mini conference series kicking off this week, which you're going to be a part of, Will. Return on rentals. So if you're interested in listening, jump in and hear some of the experts talk specifically about short-term rentals.
Perfect. And don't forget also the iMeet Hotel on the 29th of October if you're promoting anyway.
I'm a part of both of your events. So we have an iMeet Hotel event this week, and then we got a NoiseAware event this week as well. It's good stuff. And it's iMeet Hotel. We got Destination Italy, and then we got Return on Rentals.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. This is a jam-packed week, but this is a great way to start off with a nice cup of Joe and talking to you fellas in the morning, bright and early.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what kind of news comes out this week, so we can have another fun topic next week.
Any predictions out there? I'm thinking, we're probably going to see a little bit more coming from the OTAs. I don't know. What do you guys think? Any quick predicts?
Well, I think a lot of firing, unfortunately, I'm afraid, but let's skip this topic because it's not nice to discuss this part. I'm really curious what you can see. I think this whole human people, it's pretty interesting how now also companies are what they're doing for their employees to get them engaged, right? You can see some, for example, there's a huge firing or layoff in a specific chain. They try to find people somewhere else. You can see what you get your guide or trip or anyone doing this. Okay, this is the employees, they come available. So what you're doing actually to keep your people motivated, loyal in those difficult times. So if somebody else has a nice topic, of course, inform Will, but let's see. Yeah.
Anything from you, Golden?
Man, I love the format that we don't have to necessarily predict the future. We get to react to it. So looking forward to seeing what guys like Paul are writing this week.
Awesome. Yeah, can't agree more. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next Monday.
See you.
Take care.